Hello, and welcome to the Wrestling Headlines AEW review. Forgot the name of the promotion for a second. AEW review. My name is Matt Mayer, aka Imp, and I'm joined by James Boyd of One Nation Radio to review a great wrestling show and get all your wrestling news at WrestlingHeadlines.net. So let's just immediately jump into the review. Our first topic of the day is Miro versus Sammy Guevarra for the TNT Championship to main event the show. James, first off, how are you doing, James? Let's let him introduce himself first.
Well, I mean, I'm doing good. I know you're trying to get to the shit, so let's get to it.
Yeah, so the TNT Championship main event of the show. A show that was one of AEW's, especially after the weeks we've recently had, more low-key shows. However, those shows are normally still absolutely fine. And then they'll have some great matches sprinkled in between. It's not like, well, because I've been doing the Raw reviews, it's not like with Raw where they have a load of shit shows, goodbye monetization, then they have a better show which is more competent. I'd much prefer banger shows and then a lower key building week. And this set up so much stuff on this episode. And there's so much to get excited about. And they're reaching that point now 2 years in. Next week is their 2-year anniversary. No, I've already seen the number 3 being thrown around, but they did those shows, those like sprinkled shows, so for some reason that's getting counted as an extra year. All out. Well, no, all in. That was it. The all in show. They're counting that as the start of AEW. It's like, well, no, that's like a tester event of all of the indies. That's not AEW.
Tony Khan had nothing to do with that. I think he was sitting in the arena watching it with people, but like not the same thing. If you want to say it was the pilot episode for it or whatever else, I guess, or the proto version of, or the teaser, sure, I guess, but I have a hard time making that same distinction too. Like when I think about it in my mind, but like when it's on technically, like you can't really be doing that. Like it's on Ring of Honor's like streaming service.
Yeah, so I've only just realised on the screen I've got AEW Dynamite Grand Slam review because I am a numpty. I've only just noticed I've done that. Let's get rid of that. Anyway, yeah. So it was a. There we go. No, it's going all right. It's going all right. As long as I don't get up the wrong thing.
Are you making it worse?
I'm making it worse. I brought up the splash screen. It keeps stuttering. All right, there's AEW. Let me drag it. Look at you could get him dragged down. Oh, look at that. Oh, nice into the middle. There we go. There we go. But yeah, so the AEW review. Oh, a nice little bit of on the fly having to edit. Yes. Anyway. So next week is the 2-year anniversary, and it's they're building up that show a little bit, and yet again, it's the thing of what age are we going to do when these special shows kind of we did a big special show, you've had these big shows with big returns. What are you going to do next? Build more special shows? Keep making the shows special? A mind-boggling idea. You just build to the next thing. You keep setting up. You keep the ball rolling, which is incredibly easy if you're resting people as well. Like last week, there was no TNT title match. So they set up a TNT title match for this week. It's like, oh, crazy idea. You just rotate stuff around. And as well, it's amazing kind of timing as well. With it being in Rochester tonight. So I'm genuinely, it was such good kind of organisation to not do a TNT title match last week because of how much it would mean this week. So let's talk about that main event, the main topic of today. The TNT Championship, Miro versus Sammy Guevarra, and a fittingly strong TNT title main event in the hometown of Brodie Lee. And as well, just want a few little spots to chat out about. Great spot with Miro catching a Spanish flying Guevara. And it may not have been a full catch or anything, but it still looked awesome, and Miro looked mighty strong. It's one of those where, because he wasn't caught perfectly, the actual then lift and suplex was even more impressive. It's just... Yeah. And also during the ad break, we got a dueling, we want Lana, no we don't. And personally, that's happened a few times in AEW where kind of chant will start, then the other half starts going, no we don't. And I'm like, this isn't a WWE crowd. Like, that's how you know. There's a section of the fans that do chants like it's WWE, and the other half goes, cut that shit out. No. Stop that now. It's like, they're going to learn. They'll learn over time. They'll learn. We got Arn Anderson on this roster. People are going to learn lessons. We'll get that later. As a British person, it's like, no one. This is horrible advice. What are you talking about? Anyway, so an amazing final 5 minutes as well. Like, this was a solid match anyway, building relatively well. But then the final 5 minutes were amazing. As Sammy started fighting back more successfully, and Miro began to slamming him down in kind. In frustration, the champion ripping off the corner pads, Fuego failed to stop him. But Sammy recovers, drives Miro's head into the exposed buckle, onto his shoulders for the go to hell, then 630 senton right into the balls. It looked like that looked painful. And I was just when I watched that, I was like, what an accidentally fitting ending to Miro's reign of love and religion to take 630 senton onto the balls. Anyway, new TNT champion in Sammy Guevarra on a night that for the first time kind of scheduled a little bit of the 4 pillars and all of that stuff. So it's quite an exciting time. So yeah. Anyway, what do you make of this? I've just seen Rich in the chat. So, yeah, Rich and I originally scheduled to be on the show. Just popping up in the chat for a quick hello. Hello. Anyway.
Wait, so
yeah,
I didn't know.
Yeah, James didn't know that.
I didn't know that
because I hit James up so casually normally anyway. So this was no different. Yeah, Rich, because Rich let me know in advance, it meant I could contact you with no difference. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really liked the match. I thought it was the opener and also the main event were like the 2 best matches on the card from last night. But I thought they told a very good story early on. Sammy just is getting the crap being out of him, and it's very much following the role of a lot of these previous TNT title matches with Miro. When Miro's been wrestling like these smaller guys, and he's just a big bully, and it's awesome. And then towards the end, as you mentioned, like the last 5 minutes being so great, like it started getting great was Miro just said like, I'm just gonna start bumping like crazy. Like he took a bump where he I think he went for like some splash in the corner and Sammy moved and he basically flew over the top turnbuckle and then went ass over teacuddle onto the apron and then melted to the floor, and it was so good. And then you get that dive from Sammy, kind of reminding you of the Ricochet dive. Also Wesley does it as well, where you just run from opposite corner to opposite corner, and then you just jump and hope and pray that you don't get clipped by the top turnbuckle on the way to the floor. So yeah, like it was really great stuff. And once Miro started going to the start ripping off turnbuckle tops, I was like, he's about to go into one of them and be done. But either way, like it was still great. I do like the conquering babyface having his friend come out to help him, and he gets thwarted much like heels do as well. But like that's a simple little added like thing because Fuego del Sol has been getting his ass whooped and bullied by Miro for about a month now, maybe a little bit more. So like it's fitting him to come out there and try to help his boy out. It made sense. And he also got pie face like a geek, so it all evened out for me. Really really great finishing sequence like you mentioned, go to hell, and then hitting the 630 off axis, like it. Like yeah. I don't know how he's done it a few times, and normally like it doesn't really go that poorly, but the fact that it looked kind of jagged or rigid or whatever you want to call it, like just unpretty, made it look like it was more devastating.
Oh yeah.
So it was 2 thumbs up for me. It was a really good match. I'd say a great match.
And there's no better way to sell being hurt than to actually be hurt. So we'll see how Miro is.
I say that to everybody all the time. Like it ain't hard to sell when it's a shoot.
Yeah. Well, like at least Miro's got his religion. At least he's got that. Put some ice on it, you'll be all right. Hopefully. But yeah, it was white hot finish, and then all of the I guess Guevara-related baby faces, including Alan Angels, I thought, just all ran out and just all were cheering him. A few of them are in the background behind us, which I've blurred out, so you can't really make them out. But yeah, they all came out to celebrate with Sammy. We go off air with all the baby faces cheering him on as he holds up the new title. He's vanquished the evil person. Well done, Sammy Guevara, the new babyface champion. And for me, the most important thing for me was this was a show where they really, I feel like for the first time, put a real focus on the 4 young pillars of AEW. I feel like it's the It's I'm calling the Young Pillars because that at least still keeps it an All Japan reference. Just call them the Young Pillars. But I like that idea where they are kind of, they're referencing it a bit, but they don't over-reference it. Like on this week, it was MJF more using it to set up a feud and run somebody down. But the show itself was structured to feature all four of them in predominant manners. So, and then it clicks with you after MJF has said it. It's like, yeah, the show, it built into what MJF was saying. It wasn't just he says it and the crowd goes, yeah, we like this guy. So, no, the show itself was structured to feature them as well as MJF's note. So that's just a nice little thing for this show. But yeah, white hot finish and just a really happy way to end the show. And really this show was, like as James was saying, it was bookended with amazing matches. And then the rest of the card was more building stuff, which you're going to get excited about down the line. So yeah, really solid way to end the show. But there's not really much more to talk about because in terms of the TNT title, I guess the only thing is where does Miro go next? And there was the casino ladder match announced, and personally for me, to really help sell the importance of the TNT title in terms of its like hierarchy in AEW, wouldn't mind Miro winning that ladder match because they didn't announce any participants. Could have Miro win, and then that helps add a bit of importance to TNT title because he's lost it and then got elevated up the cards to go for a championship match. Suddenly it's like, you have to be really good to be champion for this TNT title. So then if you've held it and had a really strong reign, then you've proved yourself and elevated yourself. Because again, my other worry is WWE, mid-card title, you lose it, you disappear. They don't have any plans for you. So just be a nice counter to have a plan.
Yeah, would be. I mean, I wasn't really concerned about or really even thought about it, but yeah, that will work. I mean, I think that just off of the strength of what Miro has done with the title since the beginning of the Redeemer gimmick and character, I think that it's been so strong that he would just have to be just a staple of the show with or without the TNT title. Like that, I'm sure like that was also like a part of it. The rise, but like him as himself, like just going to war with any of the baby faces that they have, like I think it would just work.
Yeah, he's set himself up so incredibly strongly, figured out his character so damn well that whatever he goes on to next, I'm more than happy to see what it is. There's a return for Kip Saban. no. Oh, we'll see what he does. We'll see what he does. Hopefully it's just elevated somewhere higher up the card. Be it a match with a feud with Moxley, be it a title match, whatever it is. It just sounds like he's like a higher up the card guy rather than falling back down. So yeah. Anyway, it's happened with Darby. Darby feels like a big start after he drops the TNT title. Just to then reinforce that with the next one, it does make sense. And I would be totally sure that Brodie Lee would have been treated the exact same way as well. It's just So to kind of build it up over time, it really is quite cool.
Yeah, I mean, they had already kind of did the work with Brodie before he even got the TNT title. Like when you look at I believe that was all our Double or Nothing last year with that match against Moxley. That was awesome. So they had already, he was already a made person based off the strength, like I said, the strength of his work and all that kind of stuff. And then that match, and then they put it on with the squash on Cody. So like, yeah, like I don't, when they talk about it as if it is not a secondary title or it's not a mid-card title, and they like this, and they want to present it as an either or at times, depending on who has it. Like, I don't think it'll ever get to that point, but they definitely treat it like more than a mid-card title. In the general sense of what we've watched the last few years.
Yeah, Tony Khan has said that he doesn't want it to be a mid-card title. He doesn't see it as a mid-card title, and he's not treating it as such, and that really does help that with the importance of it. Like here, it main evented the show, which it's just
and Darby main evented with it a lot.
He did loads of times, and of course to Cody with his defending it every week run, he would also is depending on whatever person he ran into, he would also main event every now and then. I swear Brodie Lee did too. Like, it just really does help establish it higher up the card in terms of doing that. Anyway, it links quite well as well because this entire show had massive dedications to Brodie Lee as well. So we might as well go through in order. So AEW Dynamite, September 29th, today's date, September 28th, 2021. And first we got the first problem with me bloody dropping my guitar pick just before we went live. For coming out, we got It's CM Punk, it's CM Punk. Out comes CM Punk. I learned the lyrics and everything. Putting the effort in. People don't say I don't put effort into this show. Anyway, out comes CM Punk to sit on commentary onto like a high-fiving every front row member. They're all jubilant to see him out there to start the show. I noticed AEW have become quite fond of the huge happy pop for CM Punk, followed by the second follow-up mega pop for Adam Cole. They've started like two or three shows with that now, and it works every single time. But also, but this more importantly for this bit, this allowed commentary with CM Punk doing his whole thing, where he did tweet out as well, legally, I cannot stage dive, so sorry. So he had to like run around and was high-fiving everybody. And as in, where they were, it was genuinely, there is a state law against it. Can't do it. So like, oh, that sucks. So,
okay.
Also, are there city laws? I can't, this is a massive tangent. I just realised. Do you get individual city laws? No, is it?
We do. And it depends on, where you are. But the thing for me that I enjoyed with that whole little inside gag was when he said it was a Lloyd's of London contract.
Oh, yeah.
Like Lloyd's of London insurance. And then, like, I don't remember if it was Ross or if it was Excalibur. He was like, oh, I remember that gimmick. Like,
yeah.
Like all those dudes from the 90s had those Lloyd's of London insurance things, and they all cashing on them shits. Like it was funny for me. It's like
so, yeah, that's why
the
I
whole
know
night.
It. Yeah, I know it because of what all the wrestlers did with it. So it's a great little reference. But CM Punk doing all that, the reason for me why that was important was it allowed commentary to have time to talk about the John Huber Foundation and didn't have to rush through any of the lines. They got to really just casually talk about it, which for the foundation, it does again across. Really, really good stuff. Really gave them time, which is awesome to see. Really nice that they did that. But then he sits down. They're all excited. Adam Cole's music hits, and he's still to this day, there are people in the crowd like jumping up in excitement, in just like oh my god, it's Adam Cole. It's great to see like 3 or 4 weeks into his run, those reactions are still happening. Maybe it's the back-to-back CM Punk, Adam Cole, and then go crazy for both of those two back-to-back. It's the pop of a pop, which is great. And then you get to dance to Jungle Boy's theme. So that's awesome. And that gets bloody stuck in your head. Damn you 80s. You had so many hits that just get stuck in your head. Good or not, they get in your head. And anyway, Adam Cole versus Jungle Boy. The crowd white hot for this opening match. And what a contest it was. The crowd chanting, "This is awesome," before we even got into the hot stretch ending. The step snap off the apron looked amazing. The crowd counting the loud 3 after Panama Sunrise as well. It didn't secure it, but the crowd they gave that 3 a whole head of heart. And it wasn't the final thing. Awesome kick out. The ending so strong as Jungle Boy really starts to swing into momentum. So Cole crowds referee Aubrey to mule kick the man in the dick. It's all about the boom. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, really, really strong match. I don't know what you make of the boom as a finisher name, but yeah, the match overall. What do you make of it?
Okay, so is the boom the last shot, or is the boom the kick in the nuts in this analogy? Because I thought you meant like hit him with the boom as if like, yes, like him doing the Ric Flair low blow thing is the boom.
No, the boom is legit. The last shot has been legit renamed to the boom. So I've got a little.
Okay.
So I can sense its wordplay a bit. So yeah.
Yeah. Great match. I kind of wrestle over him kicking out of the Panama Sunrise, because like I'm not really like if your super finisher is a Canadian Destroyer, like then let that be your super finisher and like beat win with it. But I think it did something for Jungle Boy to where it shows how like the kind of fire that he has, that he can kick out of that, and like that's the last bit of will he has. So I can see it going either way, but. Before we even got to that point, like they were cooking. It was a fun match. I thought they told a really good story of Cole is more experienced and is a vet and has a confidence edge over Jungle Boy, and with the things that Jungle Boy would try, Cole would just like outsmart him and move out the way or duck stuff or whatever else. And then later on in the match, Cole would try to do what Jungle Boy tried to attempt. And in much same fashion, Jungle Boy like is learning super fast, like like some type of prodigy, and will like avoid the same dangers that the same traps that he earlier tried to set on Cole. So I thought it told a really good story. I thought it was a really good match. Or a great match actually. So Cole hasn't missed yet in AEW, and like it. I think a lot of people are surprised that he's so over in AEW, but they shouldn't. If you were super over in America, anywhere, and you come to AEW, guess what you're going to be in AEW?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we take that kind of stuff for granted because given like a lot of the shine fell off of NXT over the last since the pandemic. But like Adam Cole has been Adam Cole everywhere he's gone except for like New Japan, like wrestling at Kyle O'Reilly at Wrestle Kingdom. Like that's outside of in Japan, like he's been the man everywhere I've ever seen him. So we should have known this was going to happen. I think a lot of people thought that he was going to be some bit player in the super click or super elite or whatever the hell they're calling themselves, like with that group of 9 people, like they're the Wu-Tang. But nah, man, he's a Dynamite wrestler, and well, no pun intended, he's a Dynamite wrestler. I didn't even realize that was happening. Like he's a great wrestler, and this is a crowd in the fan base that appreciates that sort of thing. And you mentioned the CM Punk and Adam Cole thing going back and forth, almost like dueling pops the last few weeks. Like when in the middle of the match, I thought to myself, like, I kind of want, or before the match, I was like, I kind of want Adam Cole to win this match and then like immediately start challenging CM Punk to a thing. Now, but maybe that's a setup for, maybe this is the setup for it, is like you kind of think of them together because they've been tied together in segments kind of lately. So we'll see what happens. But like the Jungle Boy, as you mentioned, as a 4-pillar thing, like this is definitely the start of it.
Yeah,
on this show.
There's so many people really behind Jungle Boy. Like, for me personally, it's like, no, Jungle Boy shouldn't be beating Adam Cole right now, especially as he's one for the future, and you're trying to establish Adam Cole anyway. So it'd be really counterproductive to do so. But seeing that reaction on Twitter, there were quite a few people like, why didn't Jungle Boy win that? That's a great way to give momentum to Jungle Boy. Personally, yeah, Adam Cole was the right decision. But the fact that there are that many people was like, oh, he's getting over though. So that's a good sign on that.
Yeah, like when he comes out, when they both come out, and like in the middle of the crowd, like you hear the Jungle Boy chants getting more or less drowned out by a chance for Adam Cole, then like no, Jungle Boy should be winning right now. The point is he's supposed to have a super competitive match with a big star. He's going to lose, and then eventually over time he will get more matches with Adam Cole, and he will get closer and closer, and then he will eventually beat him, and then it will eventually look more like a heated rivalry as opposed to someone that is at the top of the game and someone that is coming to surpass that. Like it doesn't need to happen right now. It just needs to happen over a period of seeing progression over a number of weeks and months, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, and especially for those 4 pillars, especially, they don't need to be winning everything right now. Like Darby Allin, CM Punk, for example.
Okay, like aside from Darby, who you want to push in front of Bryanson and CM Punk?
Yeah.
Why would you do that right now? Like, no. There will be a time and a place for that. It's not right now.
At least with AEW, I can get under the thinking of the reason that I saw that reaction was because they do such a good job of actually building their talent that when a fan goes onto Twitter and goes, oh, why didn't they win? That's because they generally have become a fan of the talent rather than what is this booking, which is kind of like what the tone is with WWE. It's a similar comment but with a different tone, which is definitely hard to read on the internet. But that context is there.
Yeah, and like that becomes a thing of where like you look online and you see that and you kind of get frustrated because you don't really recognize, you really can't tell if how this person really feels. Like or do people misunderstand what is going on? Like, for example, Jungle Kiona just announced that she is leaving Stardom, right? Now, Jungle Kiona has, for the time that I've watched Stardom, has been no worse than the fourth best worker in Stardom when healthy. And she had a bunch of matches. She was just this great underdog babyface that like just made you believe that she could be at the top of the company, but she wasn't meant to be at the top of the company. So a lot of people like have screamed for her to leave, much in a similar fashion to like Stardom has become like WWE to a lot of like Western Joshi fans and treating it at them as if like they're this terrible place that just mistreats Jungle Kiona and Momo Watanabe. But the thing is like it's not like the problem with WWE isn't that they push the wrong people. The problem is that they push the wrong people. Then the people that they do push end up stinking most of the time at the top. Like, I'm sorry, Lacey Evans is never going to fetch for you. It's never going to happen, right? So, AEW is in that similar situation where like people have had so much PTSD from WWE's like bad years that they think that like almost like they're afraid, you know, the shoe is going to fall on them. They're afraid that the shoe is going to fall on Hangman Adam Page. They're afraid that the shoe is going to fall on Darby. They're afraid that the shoe is going to fall on someone like Jungle Boy. And it's like, nah, man, there's a plan for them that's going to go the long road to making this work. And like, you either have faith in the bookers, in the book or the creative, or you don't. And for me, like I watch Stardom and I watch AEW, and like they've given me enough over the last, you know, since I started watching them in 2019, both, to where I'm like, take me wherever you go. Like, and then I'll pull, and then if it starts getting wonky, then I'll pull the cord. But like, gotta have faith. Like, these are like the people that are your favorites that they're not pushing. The people that are in those positions are also like doing incredible work too. So it's like, what do you want? Do you want to watch a great wrestling show, or do you want them just to push like, or do you want to be the booker? Which one do you want?
And I love things where I can just turn my brain off. Like when all the criticism started to fall onto Game of Thrones, I was like a season after that is when I first started it. So I thought season 6 was fine. I thought the ending was weird, but because what James was just talking about, they built up that trust. I can't remember which season they killed Jon Snow at the end of. Whatever season that was.
Spoiler, never saw it.
And non-spoilers, because he doesn't die. Like, you know this when you watch it happen. But because they had built up that trust, where when the next season started, it's like, oh, but it'll work out. Long term, I'll be fine with this. It's all right. And because they built up that trust, and maybe that was why I didn't start questioning things till the final 2 seasons. And my brother was like that with The Walking Dead. He just, to this day, he can just watch it, and he's not critical at all. Whilst I'm sat there going, just get to the Negan fight. I'm just so bored. Because I'm somebody, I've read the graphic novel, so I knew where it was going. I knew where it would be afterwards. And I was just like, they're doing it well, but they're just dwelling for so incredibly long compared to my brother. I don't think. Yeah. Like,
you know, you have me on the show for like AEW or NXT, like, you know me, you know I'm critical of stuff, right?
Yeah.
It just for me is like, if you give me a lot more good than bad over a certain amount of time, then I'm going to like let my guard down eventually. And especially when it's like the people I would want at the top of the card, if it were me, I'll just have Bryanson and Darby and and Adam Cole and the rest of the Elite and the Lucha Bros and Kingston and Moxley. I would just have them on the card every single week. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't have and I would have Thunder Rosa and Riho and Shida on the card every single week too. So it's like, for me, I got like, they've entertained me with plenty of stuff that I was not necessarily looking forward to, or people that I wasn't exactly familiar with or thought highly of. And like, for the more times than not, I've enjoyed it more than I've disliked it. So for me, it's like, all right, you've done enough to have earned my trust, to where it's like, I'm not just immediately going to put my guard up for anything. Like, they paid off a lot of stuff storyline wise over time. So for me, it's just, I have more faith in them, and that's kind of for now. Like if things change, things like my critique will change, right? Like there's only so many times you're gonna. After WWE, there's only so many times I'm gonna give anyone the benefit of the doubt. Like so that, but right now they haven't.
Yeah, and I feel like NXT is probably a really good example of every point of James' journey across every single kind of beat of that, where NXT, over the course of like the first couple of years, from like 2013 to 15, they built up that trust. They became dependable, and which is what the main roster isn't. They may do a good thing every now and then, but they are not consistently dependable for entertainment. Whilst NXT, they built up that reputation over like the course of 2 years. Then with Kevin Owens and Finn Balor in 2015, started to go on amazing tours and hit those heights of Brooklyn as well. Like it did that over the course of 2 years, building that trust. AEW are at that 2 year period right now where they have had those 2 years of building up that trust. They've become a dependable brand, and they're showing the benefits for it. Which is, of course, then we saw what happened with NXT now, where I don't know about you, but not watching it. They've not become a dependable source of entertainment, so I'm not watching it that routinely. And it happened before the rebrand. Like I tuned out beforehand. It's not being reliable.
I was watching I had watched every single episode from SummerSlam, or sorry, from Brooklyn 4 until the week that they had fired Mercedes Martinez and Bronson Reed, and I was like, I already know this thing has changed a lot since the pandemic, and everything. And I was like, hey, like, I'm not along for the ride on where this is headed. And then like where it was headed was like to 2.0, and 2.0 is, from what I heard, is not much for professional wrestling. Like as far as like having really good matches or whatever else. So like I'm off. Like I'm off it for now. Like maybe I'll get back on it, but if it going the way that I've seen it going, no thanks. There's too much other good wrestling around the world for me to watch something that I'm not going to enjoy as much as I can.
Like, it's just like main roster. There are good things on the show. Like, for example, Hit Row hits every single week. They are fantastic factions.
Braun Breaker, too, as well.
Yeah, Braun Breaker. Yeah. Aside from the name, aside from that, like a Marvel Muppet character, aside from that, he's perfectly fine. He's a really good wrestler, and he's got Steiner all over him. Also... yeah.
That's the reason why he's so great. He's a Steiner.
Yeah, and Von Wagner, that guy with a crappy name, Von Wagner, he's a bloody Beverly son. He's son of one of the Beverly brothers. It's just like...
oh, I didn't know that.
Which is part of my point. It's just like, why have you got all these second-generation stars and given them shitty little... like Von Wagner? What is this? It's just... But that really speaks to the inconsistency of like the reliability across the product. It feels very main roster, in that you'll get shining stuff, which is genuinely good. That's why I brought up Hit Row and the Braun Breaker as well. But there is that inconsistency across it as well. It's not, over the course of the show, a consistently good show. There's segments of good, and then the rest of it is... it's also lit like a Nickelodeon show that's going to gunge somebody at any point. Like, it's just like, what is this? But anyway, yeah, the bigger point was AEW have built up that reliability over the course of like 2 years and things, and now you're willing to trust stuff. So if something doesn't quite hit on a certain week, you trust they will change course. Or if something is more low-key, you trust they're building to something. If a character loses, you trust they've got a plan for them, that they're going to go into something else. Like Miro, we were talking about it earlier. I was like, oh, he's probably got something. Where's he going to go? Wherever he lands will probably be really good. We've got that trust there. So just casually say stuff like that, compared to, oh, I don't know, he's probably screwed now. As in, we're not talking like that. So it's just, that is really good to see. Anyway, I'm going to go through the rest of the show. We will have more tangents.
Rich,
it happens.
Well, one thing. Rich made a good point about this. Like, when people get like shuffled off of AEW television for a certain amount of time, it's not like they're stuck in the back and catering, and you won't see them pop up for another few months or until the next like battle royal, or be the next person to run out at the 24 title or 24/7 title. Like, when they come back, they're as over as they were once they left.
Yes, that's a really good point. Yeah, they've not been had the momentum taken away from them.
Their jets weren't cooled. Yeah, their jets weren't cooled.
Yeah, it's nothing like that. They just, when they come back, it's return. Almost like Adam Cole kind of returning after all that time. When he does return, he's picking up where we were, essentially. Like running things like from where we were when we left off.
From when Adam Page, the babyface, killed him.
Yeah. I still love the beat of them on BTE where Adam Cole's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go find Hangman," and but for the Bucks and for Omega, it's been too long without them telling what's happened with Hangman, and so they all Omega and the Bucks just get together and are just like, "We've been telling such a long, convoluted story. When do we even let him in? when do we tell him? What do we even tell him?" It's just, it's such a good bit.
You tell him when Page comes back so they can feud.
Oh yes, a Page versus Cole feud. Yes, I'm in as an initial welcome back to actually feud with them because he got to build to go into Kenny. Some have called out for Adam Page to be the ladder match winner. Personally, for me, a little piece of info for a head down the line: the town they're in after Full Gear is Page's hometown. So,
right.
Knowing what AEW are like, where they're like WWE is a heel company within their own world. I don't mean this as they are villains. No, I mean in their own universe, they are the villains. Like the general managers, the people in authority, they are always the bad guy. But also, the babyface is always losing their hometown. Like it's a rare occasion. Like in WWE, it's a good pop, but it's a rare pop when someone wins in their hometown. More likely than not, they're going to lose. Compared to AEW, where they just treat it as...
get left laying in their own hometown, like how Becky left, Bianca left in Knoxville. Well, not her hometown, but in Knoxville, like where she went to college.
Yeah,
she was an all-conference track star.
She got the key to the city from Kane, and still gets laid out afterwards. In the backstage, like, well, that evens out balance-wise, doesn't it? No, no, it doesn't. Becky's already got loads of momentum. Bianca can have this win. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. But AEW's more like, we'll give them that feel-good factor for the show. The thing with AEW quite often is, especially when you see the critiques online of people getting angry, then you just watch the show. It's just a fun, entertaining show. It's so easy to watch. It's so easy just to turn my brain off and enjoy. Like me personally, I was a little bit scared to start doing these reviews because I haven't been taking notes on AEW since I stopped my column where I was reviewing everything. Like back in, it's right when I had to stop when COVID hit, so it's around there. I've not made any notes on AEW in about a year and a half. So when I picked this up, I was kind of like, if I start critiquing it and writing it, is that going to put me off the show? Turns out, no. If a show's good, you want to engage with it more. And you get that positivity feeds off each other when bringing in the different guests to talk about it as well. Turns out, no, I'm enjoying AEW even more because I get to talk about a thing with people who are also enjoying it. It turns out, what a crazy concept that is. Crazy concept. Anyway, AEW, you're doing a good job. Have your hometown people win. But that's just my little note for Paige, was that they are in his hometown after Full Gear. I'm keeping an eye on that. I don't think it makes any sense for him to win the ladder match and then for him to be the challenger at Full Gear. For me, you have his hot... Maybe you do return him at Full Gear, then get a massive pop the night after. Or Kenny Omega finishes a feud with somebody and then Hangman shows up to feud with the Elite and build up to Revolution. There's where it can go. Yeah,
there's still options. I haven't really thought about it. I haven't really thought about what Omega could be doing come Full Sail or when Hangman's coming back. If it were me, I would get him back as soon as possible to try to get him into the pay-per-view mix on pay-per-view on Full Gear in November. But obviously, you don't know how these things go. Newborn children are tricky. So we'll see how that goes. But I can't wait till he comes back because there's a whole new slate of people that can kind of, people he can test his metal against. I've had conversations about this with people about I kind of feel like he hasn't really been, he really hasn't been tested. He hasn't been someone that's been brought to the card in a traditional sense for a long title chasing babyface for the top of the card. So it's if he can get in there with a Malachi Black, if he can mix it up with Adam Cole, a Miro, I think that would be the best thing in the world for him for when this actually is game time and it is time for him to go face to face with Kenny Omega and get the match that people have been asking for a long time. And So that's kind of so I'm interested to see like when he gets back and like when that's happening, because like that's just another top of the card guy. Like that's one of the top guys in the company, like one of the top 10 guys in the company. So like they have it almost like an embarrassment of riches right now.
It's so good to see as a fan. So many roads they can go down. No pun intended. What comes in the next segment? Well, before we get to that, we have got the match. Like after the match, the Elite came out for like a taste of afters. Carl Anderson with a hype man promo that cuts down short what he said, and Kenny's against ever giving Danielson another go at the championship, or just a go at the champion end of. So of course Brian comes out and just calls him the whole Kenny Nobles Omega, and of course yes, the crowd chanted it. Of course they did. It's wrestling crowd. Instead, the American Dragon challenging any member of the Elite to a match on Rampage. Later in the show, they just show the graphic card for Rampage. It's going to be Bryan Danielson versus Nick Jackson, and the crowd go, holy shit. They just freak out over this card announcement. It's just like apologies to the 2-year anniversary matches that they announced afterwards, but nobody cared after seeing Danielson versus Jackson. That's it. Well, Nick Jackson rarely has singles matches, but when he does, they are special. Immediately the Ray Phoenix match just obviously jumps to mind, and here it's Bryan Danielson. It feels like immediately you're like, this is going to be fantastic. Yes, add it to the list of amazing Jackson TV matches. Yeah. Solid stuff.
Like that Phoenix match for me is still like somewhere in the top 8 of best AEW matches ever for me. So like I can't wait for him and Bryan to get it going. And like there's just a slew of guys for Bryan to fight. Yeah. There's are like what happens when it's him and Penta? You know what I'm saying? Like that's gonna be fun. Like what happens when it's him and Pac? Like it's gonna be fun.
Actually, speaking of those guys, next was a backstage interview with the Lucha Bros when Andrade El Idolo, I didn't say that at all right. Andrade El Idolo immediately interrupted his lawyer, hinting that it's probably time for the Bros to defend their AAA tag titles, and immediately I'm just like, they felt like this was a little thing that's kind of went a little under the radar, but I'm like, wait, who's his partner going to be? He's got partners out there. It's like, does Andrade have an Ingo Benable amigo in his pocket? It's like, oh, I mean, immediately I'm like, you're going to bring in Rush? Oh, it's going to bring in one of his, from the stable, his version of the stable, the initial version of the stable from AAA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or were they in CMLL when they did that? I thought they. I don't know that world that well. It's just because they were on the New Japan stuff. I was like, oh wait, it might have been CMLL. I can't remember. No.
That was started in CMLL. Yeah. And then, but the thing is, like CMLL, because of their beef with AAA, like so many of CMLL like has had so many defections to AAA that is like almost everybody that was a part of like that run when Andrade was there is like pretty much in AAA now.
Mm. Okay, so it makes sense why I was confused. All of a sudden, just trying to remember.
Yeah, like for example, like Ryu Lee, like CMLL fired. Ryu Lee.
Yeah,
like last year.
That,
remember? Yeah. So.
But for me, this felt.
I'm sorry.
It's just such.
I don't know what would happen. I don't know what would have happened. I don't know what would have to make me fire Ryu Lee. I'm sorry. Like that dude's too good. That dude is too good.
I remember trying to read up on that when it happened. It seems some form of beef. Something had happened.
I think because CMLL, like, they want to control your indie bookings in Mexico. So like like a lot of guys like Bandito or Ryu Lee, like they just want to wrestle anywhere they can because they're psychopaths. So they fired him because he was going to be on a card that had like a AAA talent on it or whatever else, and I get more or less the rest is history.
But there's such a slew of talent that Andrade could use. I'm just massively assuming it could be Rush. I don't know if there's somebody in the company they're going to pair him with, but immediately because I didn't see much hype of this like around when I listened to reviews, they just recapped what happened and moved on. I'm just like, wait, is anyone just forgetting the teams this guy has been in before he went to the WWE? Like for me, this could be pretty big. Quite interesting. See another company working for AEW. So it could just be somebody who's in AAA right now. Anyway, let's move on to Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson versus Matt Seidel and Dante Martin. Yes, it's time to get to that segment. But yeah, the match itself, the crowd still booing Cody as his potentially natural turn rolls on. Immediate first notes as we see Rhodes start to think he knows he's better than Arn. This was building to the aftermath of the match. Like, being the first in the match when Anderson very clearly wanted Johnson in. To be the one to initiate the first punch in the match breakdown as well. Just lots of little details across the match where immediately I'm just like, he knows exactly what he's doing. With this, as in leaning into it rather than, well, maybe it's not the reaction they wanted initially, but now, right since the return, especially from Malachi Black, now they're leaning into it. Also like little things as well, like when they walked out onto the ramp, Arn Anderson was stood on the good side and Brandy on the bad side with the heel tunnel and the face tunnel. And I'm just feeling, so I feel like they're doing lots of little touches which weren't there before. It's just because they're there now, I'm starting to spot them. And immediately, also last week, the boys' Twitter account tweeted out, I was like, oh, that's somebody being Homelander. And a load of wrestling fans going, yes, that's the point we've been making. He's not a good. He's acting like a good guy. Like, I was listening to one review earlier. I listened to a couple before we do this. I can't remember which one it was, but their kind of take on this was, oh, he's giving the glasses to he's doing stuff with the kids. He didn't give them the glasses. Not Bret Hart. He was giving stuff to the kids. He was being the baby face. Therefore, he is a baby face. I'm like, no, that's the Homelander thing, where he thinks he's America's hero. He genuinely believes he is, but he's not. And whenever those cracks show their face, he loses his cool. And that's what I'm hoping to see with this character. I like subtleties. We don't really get a lot of subtlety, or haven't had a lot of subtlety in wrestling. So for what Cody's doing here, where the start of this is more subtle, I'm all for it. Obviously, the after-match, the way the match went down was a bit less subtle, and we'll get to Arn Anderson and subtlety in a minute. But it's, I really like what they're doing with Cody. Just nice little things in the match as well. Just nice little notes. Almost going to try and win the match himself, which is also why I liked that not happening. Lee Johnson like pulling him in to get that tag in, just yanking him by the tights. And Johnson is the one to get the win with an awesome fisherman onto the knee to Martin. So yeah, I really like these little touches here.
Yeah, I had no idea what that move was that Lee Johnson did. Like, the best I came up with was like, that was like the Jungle Keon, the Jungle Buster, or Kaniku Buster, whatever you want to call it, except like it wasn't just a sit out like a stunner. It was like he dropped him like a backbreaker. So I had called it to Josh from Keeping It Strong style, like a jungle breaker. I don't know.
I like that name.
I don't know what the hell it was, or what he's gonna call it, but it was awesome looking. And like, it was cool for him to get a big win on Dynamite, because normally whenever you see him on Dynamite, he's getting his ass kicked, and like, the dude's clearly talented. It was cool to see him and Dante Martin. They were the future, man. The future at AEW, man. But yeah, like you said, it was a really good match. The stuff with Cody is clearly leading somewhere where I don't know. But I guess let's get to the Arn Anderson stuff, because that was just ridiculous fun to me.
This is the actual thing, the actual takeaway from this segment. I spent way too much time on that earlier bit. So after the match, Cody was wanting to call out Malachi Black, and Arn immediately stops him. He's had enough of Cody not listening to him, and we were displayed that in the match. It all ties in with the most. Immediately in my head, I'm like, this is the most American analogy I think I may have ever heard. You're talking about, Cody, you're the kind of guy where someone came up to the car and said, I'm robbing you of this car. You'd be like, no, I don't want any trouble. Here you go, here are the keys, there you go. Whilst me, I pull out my Glock and I shoot that MFer in the head. I'm just like, what is this analogy? Oh no!
He said it a little bit more with a little bit more poetically. He said that he pulls the Glock and he puts the barrel to their forehead, and he leaves their brains on the concrete. And I was just like, yo, what this turn? I didn't know that you were a Stone Cold murderer, Arn. But then I thought to myself, well, he grew up, or he came of age in pro wrestling in JCP, and this man debuted in like '82. Of course, this man has it on him at all times, or nearby at least, at the very least. Like, yeah, man. Like, I don't know what to say other than that. But like, he needs to go seek some type of counseling or help out the depression, because boy, wow, just wow. I was sitting there and like I was like halfway like, wait, what? And then laughing because like this is so absurd for what this is. It's like, do you want to fight a guy, or is it affecting your career or whatever else? And it's like, nah, man, I want to murk somebody in the middle of the street.
Yeah, it was A, the severity of the level on was going to with it, and B, the specificity. I can't say it. Specificity. Jesus Christ. The
specificity.
Thank you. I'm not.
I'm sorry, I did with accent. I'm bad, but like specificity.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just how specific that story was. The barrel of my Glock, not just gun, not just whatever. It's like no, I've got a Glock in the car at all times. Of course you do, Arn.
Yeah, it like, for a person that spent most of his career being called like boring or stoic or generic, like the fact that he said he's gonna get a box ass Glock, like of course Arn would have an old dependable square ass gun, not like a Desert Eagle or anything that with any kind of like flair to it. No. I'm just finna go out here and just shoot you with the remote control. Just.
Like, obviously, as an Englishman, I've got to go kind of translate that promo just to figure out. Like, wait, I'm sorry. Are you trying to tell Cody he's just lacking in conviction right now? He's not the stone cold murderer that you want in a wrestler, I guess. He's just gone a bit too literal with the metaphor. It's like, no, not an act like Stone Cold Steve Austin wasn't actually a stone cold killer. Like, no, it's not that literal. That Arn Anderson, like, no, I will kill a man. Like, holy shit. Okay, yeah. Somebody said the little joke on Twitter just to like pretend to be Sid Vicious, just like, oh shit, I went after him with a pair of scissors. I'm lucky to be alive. That man is a.
Yeah, but that's hilarious.
It's just, it's such an over the top analogy. It's just so violent.
Yeah, like. Them scissors ain't gonna save you, Sid, and them aluminum baseball bats ain't gonna save you neither.
It's just like, Jesus Christ, no, put the Glock away, on. What is this? No. Oh, I found it so. Obviously, the main point of this promo is like, with Cody being a bit more heelish in his little actions, a bit more booble. This was meant to be, you're meant to be in the right with Arn. And I was like, I'm not with Arn on this. No. Oh, it's
like. My favorite part was that, like, I don't really, like, care much for where Cody is headed with any of this stuff right now, but, like, the fact that Arn just went so far, like, well, I was going to say far left, but that's clearly far right. He was so far right with all of that, that was kind of like, yo, like, this is such a pleasant distraction and welcome distraction to get away from whatever is, like, just around Cody for, like, the past few weeks since coming back again. Keyword I said again after I said come back. So, yeah, like, whatever. I don't know what's going to happen with this. There's obviously turmoil. Maybe they'll make it'll reconcile around, or maybe he's trying to protect Cody or whatever. Or maybe it's to stop him, trying to chase after Malachi Black because he got the better of him. I don't know. But I don't know. Have you seen the merch that is being sold off of the Arn Anderson, the Killer Arn Anderson promo?
Oh no, I've just seen the memes. I haven't actually seen.
So Conrad is selling a black shirt with red lettering that says Arn on it, and the R is a gun.
Of course. Get it out there with the official Daniel Bryan white t-shirt. Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, the memes are great as well. Just so good.
All right, so you said that you smell a heel turn. You mentioned you referenced the Homelander stuff. So, Do you want to see Cody turn heel?
Personally, yes, because I've seen of how good it was the last time he was playing heel with the whole Bullet Club is fine angle, which was amazing.
He's better as a heel.
He's so good as a heel. Also, this gives
Yeah.
me confidence it'll be a slow turn. So, like, the state Cody is now is not him here, suddenly a heel. It feels like it's going to be, like, slowly over the course of months this will happen. This is not going to be a quick turn. So that gives me a hell of a lot more faith that it'll be good by the end of it, or I'll believe it by the end of it. That there is a, pardon the pun for what I was saying earlier, but there is a conviction behind him doing so. So I'm way more confident because of that. I don't believe this is going to be sudden, out of nowhere, suddenly at full gear, he's facing Arn Anderson in a gun on a pole match or something. He's just doing... he's not going to jump to a sudden massive match or anything. It's just... Yeah, that really does kind of help with my trust of it.
Okay, because I was wondering because, like... there's something... He needs some type of fundamental change with him, but... If you turn him heel, and then you look at like what they have on the heel side in the men's singles division, it's like, okay, so are we really going to turn him heel just to be like the sixth best first heel or the sixth heel you actually want to see on an AEW show? Like, you got Adam Cole, you got Kenny Omega, you got Malachi Black, you got Miro, you got MJF. Like, do you want to see Cody over any of those guys right now?
No.
If you turn him heel?
Ugh. Again, it's right now.
It's tough. It's tough.
They have to put a lot of work into it over the course of time as well, because he can turn. It's quite. I reckon it'd be relatively easy to turn Cody into a mega evil heel. I was almost going to say like a corporate level of evil, but I just mean like unstoppable, rising to the top of the card, spitting in the face of the fact that he lost that match at Chris Jericho, meaning he couldn't challenge for the world title. For me, it makes a lot of sense for him to become, go on a, not rampaging run, but just a merciless run to the top, just screwing over everybody, and just crapping over on everything that the promotion's kind of stood for. But you do that over the course of a long time, be it 6 months to a year type of stuff, kind of building him up that way. And he has to kind of like earn his way back up, but he's doing so as an absolute dickhead, essentially. Just, you do it that way. So yeah, it's that trust AEW built up, and the way they're showing me now is it is a lot more subtle. Just this week as well. So many little subtle heel things are in there, or just little nods to these will be the ones joining him, these won't be, type of things. It's like, yes, I really like it. Meaning it makes sense when it happens, rather than we're going to surprise you with a thing. But no, they're telling us they're going to do it. Which is
like we're gonna have Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins win the tag team titles in the main event after Roman Reigns in the opener tells us that he is leaving to go fight for his life against some cancer. And then at the end, after that good moment when they win for their friend in the famous trios team that they had in stable, like Dean Ambrose just turns on Seth Rollins for no rhyme or reason. And then months later, they tell us there is no reason. Get over it.
That's the thing. Okay. When you're watching WWE, just enjoy the moments. You want things to make sense, or do you want things to be cool moments? It's like, it's the thing with the Hurt Business, where they reformed on Raw. And,
I heard about that.
Yeah, so it's part of do you want a world without the Hurt Business, or do you want a world where the Hurt Business are back together with no logical explanation as to why they're fine again? It's like, can't I build to it a little bit? Like, no, just put logic aside. You're happy the Hurt Business are together because they're good. I was like, out of the two choices, I guess. But yeah, that's compared to again what we're kind of comparing it to with AEW, where when you know where you're going with something, you can foreshadow. And when I've said this before, we're questioned on, well, do WWE do for long-term storytelling? It's like, no, they don't. They may have a goal where they know they're going, but they book it week to week still. If you know where you're going, you will see foreshadowing. And even in a longer story there is no foreshadowing. Week to week, they don't know what they're doing next. AEW right here is showing me that they know what they are doing next because they are foreshadowing it. And it may end up being Triple H levels of foreshadowing, where be around Survivor Series time, he would start setting up like 20 different possible WrestleMania matches. He would just have a little segment with everybody, just in case it turns into a feud. And like the most recent one was Batista, like months in advance.
I got a better example of that for Triple H. Do you remember the? Oh my goodness, I want to say it was the 2000. Oh my gosh, this might have been like the 2017 or like of recent years when he was in Raw. Actually, no, it was the 2017 Survivor Series where like he basically like he screws over Shane, who's on the SmackDown side. He screws over I think Roman Reigns. He crosses Braun Strowman before Strowman wins. Like he basically shot, and then also he decked Angle at the time. Like he basically like shot like 4 angles in one match, and you like, where is this gonna go? And ultimately led to the Ronda Rousey mixed tag match with Stephanie and Kurt Angle. But it was like, why did you do all of this? Like you just basically shotgun sprayed the entire ring just for one match.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing to be a heel and it's one thing to be a shit stirring heel, but like you're a tornado right now, my guy.
It was just a Triple H way. It was around November. He's just like, right, time to set up WrestleMania season. It's just, he was like the one guy in the company who like, I'm gonna foreshadow one of these. It just shotgun sprayed foreshadowing to anyone because who knows where it will go. But yeah, this is what I mean. This level of stuff, it just. You see it in the product, and then later on, it makes sense when anything happens because it's been foreshadowed. It's not predictable. It's predictable in a good way because you've been told it will happen. It's not predictable story writing. It's storytelling. It's story writing to make your things make sense and foreshadow character actions so that the character's actions make sense because it's the thing they would do. Rather than we need this piece to move here for a plot point to create the villain for the hero to slay. It's like, these aren't characters. It's just, this is how you do storytelling. And it's not a big brain concept. This is all relatively not.
It ain't. Yeah. It's bare minimum. It's bare minimum. It's the bare minimum. Like, I like even AEW is some of the best pro wrestling, weekly episodic pro wrestling I've ever seen. It is not The Wire.
Oh, 100. Yeah.
It is not Breaking Bad. It is not any all-time great episodic or episodes of TV. It is just it is very good, but it is like as far as characters and plot and drama or whatever else, like it has its great moments and all that. But like it is not like some all-time great show compared to the other stuff you watch on TV. So like, I say all that to say this: like when you watch pro wrestling, we're not asking for this for some impossible task of ingenious soap opera writing. We're not.
Yeah.
We're just asking for if you're going to do something can you like plan out like how you're going to get to what you're going to do in 6 months? And figure out a way how to get to it. Yeah, that's all we're asking. And like, to be fair, to be quite honest, Vince in his prime absolutely did this. He did. He just does it less and less because he cares less and less. And he remembers less of stuff he does. And he thinks like, I don't remember it, so they won't. And it's like, nah, we definitely do. And we're like, and like James is bald because he's ripped his hair out.
He used to have hair like me. It was like me. He had it up in like a little. It goes up in a big quiff. There's a wave to it. He was a handsomely haired man. Was that? Then Vince started. Like. For me, currently, on the Apple streaming service, they're making an adaptation of The Foundation, which is about the fall of a galactic empire. I don't need AEW to plan things out to that level. I don't need to be like that. Just, as James was saying, if you've got a little lane for 6 months, you know where you're going with it, you can just do a nice little build to it, because you know you're going there. And then when you look back over it, especially, you'll notice they were already foreshadowing it. They were already doing all these little bits and things. That's why it felt natural. Because a lot of this is subtle and goes by a lot of people. Like, they would realise they're feeling a certain way about a character, but not notice why they feel that way. And quite often it's because the show has pushed them in that certain way. They wanted them to feel that way. Wrestling is obviously massively different because you get so much in the moment, I guess, feedback. from really different corners. But you've seen that foreshadowing there, that little kind of push in a certain direction. The fact we're seeing it, it's just like, yes, we're seeing basic storytelling things. At first, it was nice to see continuity. That was nice to say, trust us. The results of the matches you're watching are going to be relevant. They're going to mean something. It's like, oh, that's nice. But now we're at that point where, because the trust has been built, we're now seeing other storyline staples happening on the show. It's basic storytelling, all of this. So it's just nice to see in wrestling. It's not that difficult. WWE right now is serving us big, white-hot, meat-slapping moments. Because Big E's champion. However, AEW is now giving us that. When I say, like, what NXT 2.0 is getting mixed up is there was the edict about being a bit more adult. Because, like, you see AEW being successful, they are a more adult company. However, part adult doesn't just mean say some swears, be a little bit naughty with your hinting. Because that's what teenagers do. That's not adult. NXT, for me, felt like, this last week, for what I've seen of it, felt like teenagers trying to act adults. Where it's just saying a naughty thing, type of thing. A little segment where two people are having a pillow fight and somebody behind a cupboard thinks that, they're having sex, opens it, they're not, and they're just playing with pillows or something like that. That genuinely was a segment on this week's NXT. I've not made that up. It is, where has this show gone? Literally, they had Johnny Gargano in a cupboard. I'm not making this shit up. But that man would be so good in AEW. Shed a tear. But they...
I did a few weeks ago, I did like a 10-minute rant on Johnny Gargano and like his place in WWE history as far as in-ring match quality and like the highs that he's had, and like the way people were talking about him when the word got out that like his contract ends in December, and like he's kind of, and a lot of people like have seen this NXT on USA Network thing and seen it like that, like after they took him out of the main event picture, like what has he done? And like he's been a utility player, so a lot of people didn't see like what he was, or a lot of people that like heard the stuff what they've seen that doesn't match the quote unquote legend or the rep. So like they think like he's hella overrated, and it's like, all right, man, like we'll see come January.
We'll see. There's some hot names whose contract, like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Johnny Gargano, to swoop all of those top tier names up. Oh, that'll be a strong get. But for me as well, with the adult thing, with being more mature, also means storytelling that adults are more likely to be able to want to follow, rather than WWE where their storytelling kids. It's like, yes, they sometimes go more mature content, but the actual method of the storytelling is still kid level, compared to what I'm talking about here, where it's a bit slower, where there's a lot more subtleties to it. That's a more mature way of doing entertainment, because mature doesn't just mean say naughty things. It doesn't just mean that. It's not just blood and guts. It's not just that. It's the aiming at a more mature audience who need a bit more what's the word, girth to their storytelling. I don't want girth. That's the only word I can think of.
Soul.
A bit more soul, yes. That's much more PG way of explaining it. A bit more soul to their storytelling. And that's what AEW is delivering. And NXT, their edict of let's be more mature, it was just that scene with Gargano, Dexter Lumis with a massive roll of condoms, and... Yeah,
I'm sorry, let's stop there.
Yeah. and lady legs. Ladies' legs as well. Get showing lady legs.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, John Moxley, Eddie Kingston.
No.
Oh, you want me to hang around a bit?
Yeah. I'm at Park, so like we gotta sit here and talk about that segment. So, are you married?
I am not. No.
Do you ever plan to be married?
Someday, yeah.
Would you like to be married someday?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So when you go on your 1 week, 2 week, however long your vacation is, do you plan on using condoms?
I do. Yes. Well, no, not to the. I'm sorry, no, to the married woman, no. Well, it depends on the situation. Depends what she wants.
Right. That's my point. Like, I mean, like, he had like a whole thing comments. I'm thinking to myself like,
it's a whole roll. It's just
okay. If, better safe than sorry. But I don't know. We obviously off panel there had to be there's probably a off panel like this comic book off screen. There had to be maybe there was some kind of conversation about what the players were from that. But like given what we've seen from WWE, there was no off panel thing. He just thought it was a clear point like, yeah, I'm gonna have lots of sex, and it's like you're gonna have lots of protected sex with your wife. What? Like that sounds cool. All right. Like okay, whatever. Like, do you?
I don't know about you, but I've never just kept an entire roll in my pocket to do a big reveal. It's more in a crappy little bag with all the other wires in the bedside table. It's nothing fancy. It's not a big reveal or anything like that. It's just oh dear. Yeah, teenagers.
Was Johnny in a cupboard like as this was all going on, or what happened?
No.
Should I even ask any more questions, or because we completely derailed off and like going completely away from the covering Dynamite? But like, could you like?
You've not guessed it.
Was Johnny Gargano at the desk at the I guess the resort that they were at or something?
Yeah, so because he's playing the father character, and he doesn't want them want them having sex for.
Yeah, him and Candice don't want their horny daughter to get down with Loomis.
So he was in the room searching about, and then they came back and everything. So he hid in the cupboard, just like your normal 80s comedy situation. So he's stuck in the cupboard, and then he hears noises and everything, and it turns out they're having a pillow fight or whatever. He stays hidden. So then he does the part half of the 80s sitcom staple. He then has to leave the room. So he's sneaking away, and that's when Loomis spots him. And that's when Loomis pulls out the vault and just gives a little thumbs up, and just Donnie leaves. Like so that it's. I don't know if it's funny for the right reasons, but it's yeah. So that's the situation. But that's part of their more mature edict, and I'm like, it's like a teenager wrote this. Like, that's not no aiming for an adult audience person writes this. This is not aimed for adults. It's just what a teenager thinks.
Maybe it was just maybe the whole thing was Vince and Pritchard. They just had like the sight gag of Johnny like being mortified that like the people that got married are having sex. I don't know. Maybe that's all they needed, and then they decided to build around that for however long that segment or segments went. Maybe that's all they wanted. Like a lot of this stuff with Vince is just like, I don't really care. I just want to get this one particular gag, and however you got to get to this sight gag is like how we gonna do it. Like I don't really care. So that's how you end up with stuff like Dean Ambrose getting inoculated in the gas mask, and people getting shit thrown down upon them or rained down upon them and stuff like that. Like he doesn't care.
Yeah, like
he doesn't care.
It's a cool visual. Yeah, it was a cool visual, but it makes no sense. And the promo's got to cut beforehand is also awful. So is it really worth it for the bit? What a moment! Yes. What a moment!
For Vince, yes. Yeah, moments. Hashtag moments with the Z at the end instead of the S.
Because we are in the 2000s. You got to have that Z. That's still cool to put a Z on the end of stuff, obviously. But yeah, AEW's showing what actual more mature kind of maturely written show. This is more what it feels like. Sometimes they go a little bit overboard, and every segment has someone saying shit in it. Also, that was the other thing as well. Somebody said shit on NXT, which hilariously, Seth Rollins was just tweeting that out saying, it looks like we can say shit now, guys. Like, hashtag shit. Like, the door's wide open.
And that was like a week or two after like that one episode of Dynamite where like people were saying shit left and right.
Yeah. that was a little too much, a little too heavy of a shitstorm on that show.
I don't know why people have such an insistence on like letting us know that like it is PG. It's like we get it. Like I remember. It doesn't matter. I was about to derail this again. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But like, yeah, like, just because you curse a lot does not make me feel like it's grittier necessarily, or it's like edgier. Like it's just, You're cussing. Cool.
Yeah. Like, how many movies have a few swear words, but then relax on everything else like it's a 12, or whatever it is in America. Like it's a TV, PG-13. That's
PG-13
it,
is not oppressive.
Like it's a PG-13 movie. It's like, no, you're not. This isn't actually what you're storytelling. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the rest of the card, because I know what we're like. There'll probably be another tangent. So it makes sense to kind of move on. So Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and Darby Allin with Sting all coming out to Moxley's Wild Thing theme versus Bear Country and Anthony Green, who, if I'm certain, was Austin Gray in NXT/205 Live, I think.
It was either Austin or August.
Oh, August Gray. Oh, that means more heavier bell, yeah. Yeah, an AG surname.
I botched his name the other week, and or last night, I confused him with AJ Gray, who's an indie wrestler in America, and I was like, and then someone quickly corrected me. I was like, oh, you're absolutely right. I completely mixed them up. They don't even look close to alike.
Shout out to AJ Gray. I really like AJ Gray. From what I've seen of him. Anyway, a quick get your shit in between the All-Stars and a couple of big boys and Green. Our bigger names winning with ease after Green's crossbody bounces off Mox and Kingston with a splat. The man then turned inside out with a violent crown for a Mox, Kingston and Allin win. After the match, Eddie grabbing a Brodie Lee sign to celebrate in the ring. A final pop, a Sting also gets in a stinger drop on Anthony. Also, on Twitter earlier today, Anthony Green, I must have followed him or something, but he was tweeting out that, no, because AEW was like, wasn't it amazing that Sting hit this? And he's like, no, that really hurt. I hated that. Never meet your heroes. They suck. I hate Sting now. I hate him. So that's the type of thing that's going to get him over with me. If he does that.
That's funny.
Not really much to say for this match, but it gave him something to do, gave him a nice pop, and he got your Eddie Kingston showing how great a human Eddie Kingston is, and it set us up for Darby Allin later, which has got a nice little thing here. So, moving... you got anything to say on this?
Yes. I've said this ever since I first saw him in the Thatch Can segments. Like, the homie August Gray, he looks like he's Randy Johnson's son. Just Google. I know you're not American. Just Google Randy Johnson. Quick Google search. You'll be like, oh yeah,
Randy Johnson. Oh, your face is covering it. Yes, definitely yes. Oh, his mustache may be grey now. Yes, definitely. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Anyway, up next was so irritating. I lost my guitar pick. So up next was it's Matt Hardy, HFO. There we go. It's Matt Hardy and the HFO versus Dark Order. Great fun in honor of Brodie Lee. Huge pop for the in the ending sequence for -1 and his mum shouting at Uno and Grayson to get their shit in order. -1 throwing the papers just like his dad did in those segments, throwing them at them to get their crap together. And also in the hot fire one at the end, Cabana just whirling his arm round like a windmill as Johnny goes on the wee firecracker just exploding all over. A massive hot run. Reynolds and Silver, so incredibly quick and smooth when they're doing their teamwork together, beating up Joel, which leads to Uno and Grayson finishing the job with the fatality. Silver with the pin to such a feel-good pop. The Dark Order as well, back on the same page. And again, it's, in a way, thanks to Brodie, so how nice and poetic that is. And Dark Order back on the same page, and it was such a feel-good match in honour of Brodie Lee.
Yeah, really enjoyed that it wasn't Adam Page coming out to fix the problem, because you gotta give these guys that are popular their own sense of agency. Like they had a riff over how to handle Page failing, even though like the reason why he fails is because like he's friends with geeks, but I really enjoyed it. I love watching Silver like hot tags, like go nuts in matches. Like he's so fun. Like it reminds me of like, because he's built like in Russell's like pocket pack, like, and then he goes on like those huge like runs in streams of offense, like at like Cesaro in like multi-man matches. Like it's so fun to watch. And I just mentioned a former baseball legend. Like when Cabana is waving like a windmill going home, he's almost like a third base coach, like telling like the runner that's they could possibly score a run, like, hey, just keep sprinting to home base to score a run. Like, so it was fun. And like I wonder what's next for them. I wonder as far as like could we get more tag matches with them against the Elite or what have you, but this nice little short story that they've told over since Paige has been gone has been like it's held some interest, and like the greatest testament to Brodie is the fact that like he made those guys to where like the crowd actually cares about them, because they were stuck deep in the mud, and he got them out. And on a night like that, when you get -1 come out, who's always fun to see, and his wife comes out, and the papers, as you mentioned, like it was fun, like that you're all like, what's more important, like what got y'all all together? Why are y'all even mad to begin with? Because y'all love each other. And for them to be reminded of Brodie being that galvanizing force, like they won one for him, and that was cool.
Yeah, a really good feel-good moment on this show in Rochester as well. Yeah, that's awesome to see. After this, Leo Rush straight up just get a video promo just announcing he's all elite and he's all about that money now. He knows people. He knows a guy. So if you want help, he knows somebody. It's like, what do you mean you know somebody? In quotation marks. So yeah, just he's all elite and he's got some form of new character. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, glad he's back. Sounds like he's gonna be picking his spots. His character sounds like somebody that is as smart as picking the spots in a different way than, like, let's say Malachi Black has been picking spots. I don't know if he's a heel or a face. Don't know. Just glad he's back. When he was the wild card at the Battle Royal, the men's Battle Royal earlier in the year, I was super happy because I think that Leo Rush is one of the most talented under 28 guys in America. So the fact that he's back after I believe he was in rehab, the fact that he's back now and he's good enough to want to be able to do this again, like, I'm happy. And I feel like, if you watch him NXT or you watch him PWG, you know how talented that dude is. Like, or you've seen him in AAA, you know how talented that dude is. Like, he's special. And I want to see him unleashed, or I want to see him implemented in the AEW universe. Like, there's a slew of people I want to see him wrestle. Like, I think him and Phoenix would just be unbelievable. So, well, Phoenix and anybody's unbelievable. You get my point. Like, to have someone in there that can do like the things that, like, can do the things he can do, both to like superheroes. It'd be fun.
They could just straight up have a light speed match. Just go for it.
Yeah, sure. Give him a light speed match. How about this? How about we put him in a stardom ring and tell him to have a high speed match?
Just go, do it. Give us the best version of this.
Fast break wrestling.
I'd love that. Just give him 5-10 minutes. Just go. No ad breaks. Go till the ad break. Just lightning fast. There's so many people he can face, and the kind of roster they've got as well. There's so many different opponents which he could have amazing matches with. In a world where those
it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter like the star quality. Like, he could be a top star. It could be someone down in the card, like a Dante Martin. It just put him in there with like some of the Matt Seidel, like or the Seidel brothers. It doesn't matter. You can put him in Silver. Hell, like him and Silver would be fun as hell too.
So many. So it's a great signing for AEW. He looked great in the Royale. So great to see him here as well. After that, Dan Lambert, again running on the crowd with the Men of the Year right next to him. This time, the man gets the shut the F up chance ahead of giving Sky and Paige the mic. It's like, oh, he gave them the mic. How lovely. For Paige just running off about, we're going to get our recognition, damn it. You are going to fear us. We are going to be a top team in this company. Just relatively standard, but it did its job. It gave them that moment to get them across their message that, no, we're going to be a big deal. So they could be a team to face the Lucha Bros relatively soon, unless they've got another singles target in their sights. We see it's just like a straight up promo with no interruption, which is nice to see. Like, I'm like, this isn't Wrestling 101. Where's my music interruption? Where's the babyface pop? Like, no. This was legit just guys out there getting the stuff out. End of segment. Like, oh, yeah, I forget. This is a company that actually values characters building momentum and stuff. So, yeah. That's Yeah, nice to see. Any comments on this?
I liked this. I mean, I like Dan Lambert. Like, I just like. I just like the old crusty person that's basically like a proxy for Jim Cornette, talking about like the skinny wimps that like, you know, are an embarrassment to the sport. So I enjoy his promos, because like there is absolutely a group of people that like hate hearing that kind of stuff, and like it's harmless hate. Like it's not, you know, like he's going to be the person that gets the pie on his face eventually at the end. I do like I like Scorpio Sky, and I like Ethan Page. And I think that Page, like, given the opportunities he's had on the mic, I think he's done well with both of them. Like, he shows fire, he shows an intensity, he shows that he can talk, he can get his point across. I just wonder where they end up in the pecking order for the tag division, because the tag division has kind of been on pause, and I don't know if that's because like it seems like they're trying to get a trios division off the ground, as we talked about before. So either they need a third person, or they need to, you know, kind of go through and kind of face like the Seidel brothers, for example, or some of the other babyface tag teams along the way to get towards I was going to say Private Party, but that's completely wrong. Towards Lucha Bros. So I think like once they get in the ring or whatever, I feel like they're a team that should be on TV. I just like that talent, those two guys.
Speaking of should be on TV, Hikaru Shida, she was here on this show.
She's alive.
She's alive. She's dressed smart. She's got a promo for you to tell you that she's got a match next week on AEW Dynamite at the 2-year anniversary show against Serena Deeb. Oh, two people I'm like, I'd like to see more often. Awesome, great. And she gets a promo ahead of Shida win number 50 next week on the 2-year anniversary show. So just a little reminder of everything that Shida had accomplished over the lockdown era, of how important she was to the company, and now she gets a little focus here. As well, like Ruby Soho as well, getting her own little video promo to say, no, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to still be a top person. I'm not going away anytime soon. And this was Shida, you remember her? You liked her? It's like, yeah, I did. I don't even know why you've not been featuring her, but great to see her here. Great to see her back. Yeah, it's not. And against Serena Deeb as well. That's going to be a solid match. Yeah.
Match going to be really good next week.
After that, Penelope Ford and the Bunny versus TJ. AEW's Battle of the Blondes bubbling build finally reaches its tag match. A takeout to the Bunny on the outside. Awesome reverse kick from Anna into grounding Ford down into a submission win. Not really many more notes from me. Like, it was fine. I obviously got more of the match because watching it on Fight. It was fine. The ending I like the ending with the takeout on the outside, and that kick from Anna was great, and the submission just to end it. It was fine outside of that. Like it's not been a feud that's built that white hot. But I guess it's done its purpose of reintroducing us to Anna Jay and getting her and Tay Conti's team a little bit over before moving on to whatever plans they've got for them. Outside of that, it's not really a feud I've ever got invested in. It's just like it's a bit indicative of the running of AEW's women's division. This entire thing, like it's outside of the title stuff, it's fine. Which was why it was so nice to see the Nyla Rose, Jade Cargill, Thunder Rosa triple threat announced for Rampage, because that's an actual women's match that I'm actually excited for. Whilst this is fine, I guess.
It was a match.
Yeah. Best way to sum it up. Yeah. Proof that we're not we're not blindly positive about AEW. When something is fine, there's not really much more to add. So yeah, it was fine. MJF, he was the next person out there to wake the crowd back up. A warm welcome as always. He talked about AEW's strong 4 pillars of the future, which is a really nice touch, personally. Like, he's beaten Sammy. He's beaten Jungle Boy. Darby, whatever. But the strongest pillar of all is, of course, Maxwell Jacob Freeman. Without him, this company ain't shit. Saying that he deserves to be AEW champion. Another thing I like, people who aren't in feuds with the AEW champion talking about wanting to be champion. It's just a little detail, which makes the whole world feel like everyone's got their purpose, they're going a certain direction, longer term. It's like, oh, yes, it's great. Just when he says that, It's when he says he's got Bruce Pritchard on speed dial from his MLW days, and then Punk's just like, everyone's got Bruce on speed dial? Like, that's really not a big thing. That's just a nice little quip from him. But obviously, you tease and out they come. That's how wrestling works. Don't tease any of the wrestlers, because obviously their music's going to hit. So, out comes Darby Allin. MJF kindly reassuring him that it's fine to be the number 2 guy. It's perfectly fine. And he's throwing everything at Darby to try and get him to lash out, like crossing further and further out over the line, as Darby just doesn't. Even bringing up the man's car crash with his drunk uncle. But it's all to no avail. Darby doesn't fall, and he stands strong to let MJF know he's not going to be able to break him mentally. And Maxwell leaves. It's like, quick, Wardlow, to the drawing board. It's just not worked at all. And I thought like the end point of this segment really worked well, because MJF was doing his normal stuff. He then went to the bit where he crossed the line, and that's where, in his previous thing with Brian Pillman, that's when Pillman snapped. However, here, Darby's like, nah, that shit's not going to work on me. I am going to beat you in a wrestling ring. You're not going to get me that way. It's like, yes. Which also means you get to see something different from MJF, because he needs to utilise a different tactic with this guy. It's like, yes, a fantastic setup for this new feud.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like a bit early, but AEW tends to do things a bit earlier than I expect them to do them, traditionally, compared to other things I've watched before. And it also is at a time where like they're both coming off their losing their last pay-per-view match, so like they both really need a win. Obviously you have MJF getting the win in Grand Slam against Pillman Jr., but like that was clearly just to get his heat back when he cut those promos on, like, just basically shitting on Cincinnati and killing I forgot the town he also killed before he ended up getting to Arthur Ashe. But yeah, like I feel like this is going to be one of the most important feuds in AEW this year, or this program anyway. Like how this goes, like these are two guys that they've wanted to eventually carry the company in the years to come since day one. So or since the beginning. I won't say day one because Darby came a little later, but so. I'm excited to see where this goes. I thought that MJF, like in the last like month or so, he's been the best promo in the business over the last month. Like the heat he's been able to grab, the way the crowds hate him. He's like just absolutely not a cool heel at all. He just sucks, and it's awesome. And disgusting. Like the stuff he said about Darby, like it was interesting because like I had a conversation with Jamie, who's a friend of mine, and it's in that I'm a friend with, that used to go to like NXT Largo trips with and stuff, and he said like he had mentioned like the Four Pillars thing and thought about like the backlash it was going to receive online from like the Puro fans, the Puro gatekeepers, and I said to him like, I'm pretty sure there'll be more people that discuss it by like in that little sect of the Twitter sphere. There'll be more discussed by that than like the fact that this man talked about his family's tragedy like that for a gimmick for heat. Like, and I haven't checked it yet, but like I wonder how close it was. But yeah, I get uncomfortable when people bring up stuff like that kind of stuff, or bringing up that kind of real life stuff for the controversy in a feud, is like, because I know you people are ultimately like fake fighting each other. So I when it comes to stuff with like me, I kind of like it's not for me, but the crowd was into it, and they want MJF to get, you know, a boot put down his throat. So I from that perspective, I guess it accomplished what it was meant to. But I did think MJF talking about the, you know, he's number 2, just like Sting was his whole entire career. Like I thought that was clever. So yeah, MJF is really, you know, MJF he seems to know the line better than most of the like the shock jock type of heels that we've had over the our lives in wrestling. But that one for me personally was like that one makes me kind of check out. But you know, a lot of people loved it.
Yeah, I think for me personally, because how tightly tied into Darby Allin's character that incident is, it's already broadcast. So I guess it's a line that
I had no idea about it.
Oh right, oh, okay, no, yeah, it's why.
So maybe that's why it got me that way.
Ah, okay, yeah, that's why he paints himself like a skeleton, as in he's half dead, type of thing. The thing of taking his life then with no regard whilst he's wrestling, type of thing. Like it all kind of feeds into that. So when they first debuted him on AEW Dynamite, they would talk about it on commentary. They bring it up. So at least in this AEW world, it's already something that people who've been watching longer term will, or most likely will, know. So it's not the first time we've been told this on the show itself. So it's already part of the... After the Fiend, I don't want to ever say the word law in wrestling, but it's part of of his world. It's already been a kind of that help, in a way to help describe his character. It's already been
lore has turned into a pejorative in pro wrestling, thanks to the Fiend.
Yeah, it happens in wrestling. There's certain terms you can just I can't in a script. I can never write the word retribution. I just can't do it. It's gone. Whenever I see it, I'm like, oh no, it's a forbidden word now. That door's closed. Oh yeah. Anyway, yeah. Two of the massive bright future guys for AEW having a big hot feud, because there are certain guys that just have not been in any ring together. If I'm right, another one is Darby Allin and Hangman Page as well. There's just certain combinations there just hasn't been, and holding those off is now painted fruition because there's so many different possibilities. And with these newer guys coming in, there's also those exciting matches, so you can more than easily hold off of these dream younger guys coming up, which is good, because otherwise you're getting a little bit of Randy Orton, where it's only recently where he's now working with this new lot, where he has so many years of the same, but then finally interacting with the new ones, compared to this, where you're holding off already. You're not bashing through these kind of key matches of this era already. You're building to it. You're letting it sink in the background. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. AEW doing a great job with that. And then after that, we got Sammy Guevarra, one of those pillars mentioned in this promo. He then won the TNT Championship, which meant that you had Jungle Boy opening the show with a hot match. You had Darby Allin and MJF in a segment. Then you had Sammy Guevarra winning the title. It's like, yes, actions also backed up the words. It's like, you thought about it. This is good. I like this. There's actual weight to what they're saying. Yeah, when you know where you're going with something, you can do that. It's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And they were ingenious enough to already have Kingston already have his match and probably be out the building by the time MJF makes a reference to the Four Pillars, because he would have probably ran out and say, "How dare you mention them? How dare you say that? How dare you mention their names in vain?
How dare you dirty the name of Masawa?"
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, it was a AEW Dynamite show with a couple of amazing matches on it, but then the rest of it was setting up, building for the future, and also giving us a really incredible match for Rampage with Bryan Danielson versus Nick Jackson. So get ready for that. Friday, AEW do it again, where they just use Dynamite to just go, oh, by the way, this amazing match is happening. Also not forgetting the triple threat match between Jade Cargill, Thunder Rosa, and Nyla Rose, which should also be pretty damn good. As in, putting somebody like Cargill, who is still obviously, I'll call it learning on the job, improving quickly, from what I'm seeing. Every time I see her, she seems even more competent at what she's doing. But then to put her in there with people like Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa, yes, booking somebody to their strength. What a concept. So, they're not trying to fit them into a certain mould of what should be. Like, no, this is where she's currently at, so it makes so much sense to put her in the ring with people like Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa. Well done. Good stuff. Rampage should be a really strong show this week, as it normally is. There's here's 3 really good matches. Cool, yeah. Cool. I don't need more than that. Cool, yeah.
Yeah, no more than that, especially not 2 hours. Like, ooh, that was a rough... That's that Grand Slam 2-hour show. That was rough, and I didn't even watch it live. I watched it on I watched it later. So I only had the no commercials, and didn't watch it from 10 to 12. I just watched it, and I was like, I feel tired, and I don't have commercial breaks. I imagine watching people that had to watch this live, it must have been exhausting that second hour. But yeah, just 1 hour. Keep it 1 hour from going out. 1 hour.
I did the same thing, but I had to cover the G1. With
oh man,
yeah, there's currently no Saturday shows, but because I'm covering other things, I've got life going on as well. Like tomorrow, I can't sit and watch the G1 tomorrow. I've got people putting floor down in my house. I've got things happening, and I've not watched today's either. Like, there's been stuff happening. Like
I haven't started the G1 yet either. Like my plan was to start watching it after the Grand Prix got done. What I'm going to do is because Stardom's doing Saga Joe Hall on the 9th. Like, I'm just going to start after that. And, like, even by the standards of last year, I'll still be far ahead. Like, I binge-watched the last, I want to say, all but, like, nights, the first 3 nights of the G1, like, in a week or something like that. Or maybe, like, 4 days. Like, I'm never doing that again. But I'm never doing that again. But, like, I'm just going to start picking up and, like, watching one a day, like, after the 9th or whatever else, and then I'll be caught up well before then, before we get to the final.
So yes, I'm doing a nice little kind of drift into the kind of plugs before we sign away. But yeah, so I am doing a weekly review of the G1 Climax with Jeremy Donovan of Keeping It Strong Style, which is going up on Saturdays right now because because having a break on a Saturday, which works so perfectly for us. That means we're on different time zones. We can watch the Friday shows, we can get it written on the Saturday and get it up. So it's being posted on a Saturday. It might be late on the Saturday stuff. Again, time zones, figuring stuff out. Again, I've not I might have to watch both of them on Saturday, then get my stuff in. Who knows? But that's with our top 5 matches of the week, our top 3 MVPs. Awesome to see Zack Sabre Jr. just getting so many points from me. And it's like, yeah, what do you do in a G1 where all of your gaijins, you can't really book your gaijins? I don't know, push another one? It's like, yeah, let him have amazing matches. Yeah, no cost whatsoever. So, yeah. So, again, it's a G1. Turns out the top 5, because I was thinking, this year might be a bit easier for the top 5 matches. It might be a bit clearer each week with like just not that much hype going into the tournament. But then when we're writing it, it's like, actually no, I'm having to leave off matches I don't want to leave off on week 1. That's not good. So I'm not going to get Yano in this year. I always make sure I get him in once. Because sometimes if Jeremy writes about a match that I was teetering on putting in number 5, I'm like, it's all right, Jeremy's written about that match. I can give Yano a point. I can just throw Yano in here. See how it goes. It's never taken that well. Anyway, you can follow me on Twitter at the Damn Impercat. The Damn is in Damn. Also over on Twitch. I'm trying to get into streaming. And then I'm realising, I did the stream on Monday. And then when I was signing off, I was just like, okay, I'll be back on. Oh shit, when will I be back? I was like, oh yeah, that's why I stopped streaming. I just don't know when I'll be free. So, I'm streaming Ken of Visual Spirits, which I'm playing by myself and really enjoying, so then I'm just playing it again on the stream. So I'll be doing that whenever I get back to my next stream. And also Wrestling Headlines on Twitter at Russell Headlines, that's Wrestle without an E. And over on Facebook, Wrestling Headlines as well, to join the huge community for the latest wrestling news. James, do you want to plug all your stuff?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at JamesBoat87, and you can also find my podcast that I do with my friend Rich, covering pretty much this AEW and whatever else happens in the world of wrestling from week to week, major, at One Nation Radio.
And with that, say thank you for watching, for liking, for engaging in any form, any manner, never taken for granted, always appreciated. And it's time for me because of the current situation, I'm going to sleep in this room. There's been a lot of white spirit used in here. A window is open. Well, hopefully it kind of just settles itself out over the sleep. So anyway, I bid you adieu, and James bids you
later.
Ta-ra.